reference, and I decided to do something a little bit different than normal. But I do this from time to time when I don't have a really either I don't have a really good reference, or in this case, actually, there was more kind of stacked references that I wanted to be short from, and I just decided I didn't want to stop out and re-enter several times. And so I decided to play it looser. I decided to break out my essentially size with a wider stop and be able to kind of piece in. So I don't do this a whole lot, but I thought it was kind of appropriate here. And so initial entry is right as you can see up in the top right. The RTH was kind of giving an imbalance pullback. Now there was no momentum shift on that time frame, but I did see a stall and a tiny turn in price. It's covered by the arrow here. You can't really see it. Now you can see it. But we went all the way up to here, and then above that swing, right? And then it rotated all the way back down. So that's actually pretty substantial, right? It goes all the way up here, all the way back down. And so I shorted a little bit of a spring pattern, or in this case, an up thrust pattern there. It was right into delta neutral, as we talked about, would be a factor. And we'll talk more about that here briefly. I'm not going to narrate every detail. We'll save that for the review and whatnot, but I do want to go over what I did. So then it keeps going. Okay. Here is another shift in order flow, a little shift in momentum right at the imbalance pullback for ETH. And the final third reference I was very interested in was this double top right here. There was really no good excess above this. So as soon as we popped above there and started to fail, again, kind of an up thrust pattern I wanted to put on that final piece. That was confluent with, I think, RTH VWAP. Okay, so I gave it a pretty good range there. But what did I see or not see as this thing started to go in my favor? And that is any selling, that is getting back below delta neutral. None of that was happening. So here with, let's zoom in a little bit and show you, today's been a little bit of an atypical day, some advanced tactics and different things. So I exited, let's see, I scaled, right? So some of this third ad came out, all of it actually. And then I started to take even some of the second piece out. And then I got out of all the second piece. And then I got out of all the third piece. And let's get rid of these. Okay. I got out of the last bit of it as it really starts to turn. There's no selling going on. And I flipped long. That seems like, rash, quick type decision, but it's really not, because think about it. I wanted to be short if the imbalance was holding, if we could hold delta neutral, those type things. And what's happening there is I said, all right, I'm going to give the short trade, the initial short, room to work, but that puts me into a territory where the imbalance is failing. This trade's not working. And so I use that to say, well, not only do I want to be out of this trade that I'm currently in, I want to be long per the other idea, and really per the main idea that I had today, which was quarterly +2 bounce up into the two bearish prior value references above, right? And so for me, it's a no-brainer that I'd rather be long here based on how this is shaping up. I liked getting into the short. I liked letting it try to work. And then I loved getting long. And anyways, that's what I did. Got long, scaled, add some back, scratch that add some more back, and then scale and actually flatten. This was so choppy, and we're just sitting here around here in the middle of this area, such a grindy day. I said, you know what? I'm up 3R, and this thing could fall apart at any moment. I really just don't feel great about the trade at all. I'm just going to come out of it. And that's what I did. And so obviously when this thing puts in this little triple top and, compresses into it and spikes, I'm thinking, oh boy, could have been something special there, but no big deal, right? Um, it doesn't matter what happens in hindsight. It matters, as we'll talk in our reviews, about the quality of the decision making at the hard right edge. And just given how choppy this was, and I was also looking at this lastly, and then we'll move on to the Q&A. All these wicks and all this lack of being able to move is kind of up into the initial, well, literally the initial balance on the session, which is this, right? But I'm looking more so at the actual kind of like real like balance, right? So I'm looking at that. And so we're really, really struggling to get into that area. And so with all this junk going on, and the type of day that this is, where not only are we like barely going, through rollover, right? That's a factor we haven't really talked about today, but rollover combined with this odd passive day, right? And where there's no substantial shift in order flow. Think about that. Big move down, order flow's doing this. Big move up, order flow's doing the same. So there's no change in any dynamic for me to read on the tape here. And again, rollover and kind of a weird passive day. So I decided we're not getting back. We're not doing a good job of getting into here. And so I got out.